Good morning to all my awesome friends and family. You know what time it is. Hashtag Magical Fairy Garden April 2021. I am so excited to see what all of you done. You've brought your magic into this wonderful challenge. I can't wait to see what you've all come up with. Hope if any of you have just stopped by to just see what we've all done, please also go check out the playlist and see these awesome creators. Now here I am putting a magical fairy garden. Mine is going to be Alice in Wonderland, and my wonderful co-host Buckeye Girl Reefs and Things. Please go check out what she's done. She's my co-hostess, and she's an awesome creator, and I'm sure she came up with something very clever. Wait and see. It was a beautiful spring day. Alice was walking along the river edge and looking at how beautiful everything was this beautiful spring morning. The birds in the sky, the birds in the trees, singing their love songs to each other, and of course the golden flowers popping up. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. And Alice became tired, and she sat down near a tree, and she started daydreaming. Slowly her head began to nod, and the sound of the river putting her to sleep. Alice fell fast asleep, but all of a sudden she snapped to attention when a large white rabbit went dashing by. Strangely, he was wearing a waistcoat, a bow tie, and carrying a large pocket watch. Even more strange, he was talking to himself. I'm late, I'm late, I'm late for a very important date, the white rabbit mumbled to himself. Along in a flash, Alice was on her feet, chasing after him. And still the white rabbit took a giant hop into. In a flash, Alice was on her feet, chasing after him. He was still fretting. The rabbit took a giant hop into a hollowed-out tree and explained, Oh, my fur and whiskers, I am late, I am late, I am late. Alice thought he might be late for a party, so she followed him into the tree. Suddenly she stumbled and then tumbled, head over head, and into a deep hole. After a while, instead of falling faster and faster and faster, she began to fall slower and slower. Until then, she was floating more than falling. Alice landed gently and just in time to see the rabbit's white puffy tail disappear behind a door. And you know Alice, she followed that white rabbit right through that door. Wait for me, wait for me, as she looked around in wonderment. Where am I? Where am I? Please don't leave me. Wait for me, wait for me. The white rabbit didn't pay any attention. He kept going off. I'm late for a very important date. And Alice said, Please, please, wait for me, as she walked around in wonderment of what she was seeing. She couldn't believe what was in front of her eyes. She had never seen an amazing place like this before. Yelling after the white rabbit, Please don't leave me, please don't leave me. And the rabbit kept going off, hopping all his way. Alice yelled in panic, Please wait for me, please wait for me. The rabbit didn't even look back. The rabbit kept going, hopping down. Oh my gosh, please wait for me, wait for me. But the rabbit didn't listen. He kept on going. Alice started looking around at what she was running through, and she noticed that these plants looked strangely familiar. The more she looked at them, she realized what they were. These were heads of lettuce, as big as she. Oh my gosh, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She looked to the left and to the right, and what did she see? Lettuce as big as her. Oh my gosh, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. This is a place of wonderment for sure. And as she was paying attention to the lettuce, she forgot to pay attention to the rabbit. He was running ahead. Now all she was seeing was the white tail. Oh my gosh, panic was really rising then. please stop, she yelled in panic. Wait for me, wait for me. He kept going faster and faster, and she kept getting further and further behind. He's in the distance now. I can barely see him. Please wait for me. Please wait for me. Oh, well, he kept going until the point where she couldn't see him anymore. She sat and cried, I am lost. I don't know where I am. Oh, no. What is going to become of me? Alice eventually came upon a beautiful rose garden in Wonderland. She couldn't believe to her wonderment that these roses could speak. The big red rose asked her, What kind of flower are you? Alice replied, No fragrance. The other rose sniffed her hair, and just as Alice replied, I'm not a rose or a flower, the rose cried out, She's a common weed. Get out of our garden. We don't want weeds here in our garden. Get out, and Alice ran down the path. After leaving the flower garden, she got back on the path and started wandering down the path further. And then, of course, came some odd creatures she had never seen before. There was a Cheshire cat with the wildness of grin, and of course this worm sitting on a mushroom, smoking something and blowing rings around me. I said to them, Can you help me find the white rabbit? They both smiled at me. The worm blew smoke rings at me, and the Cheshire cat put his big grin, all his teeth showing, and his big green eyes. Oh my gosh. And he kept appearing and disappearing, that Cheshire cat, with that wild grin of his. Alice thought the creatures all seemed quite at home in this topsy-turvy wonderland she was in. She hoped one of them would help her find the white rabbit, but they were no help at all. All they did was give her some weird-looking smiles, and she got an eerie feeling she didn't belong. And then in the distance, she could see out of the corner of her eye some castle back there in the distance. She wondered what that was. Made her feel a little uneasy and afraid. And then, of course, that Cheshire cat kept appearing and disappearing, even making her more scared. Alice got back on the path, and she walked and she walked and she walked, and she came upon a bunch of mushrooms as big as houses, so big she couldn't believe how big they were. And she stood there for a few minutes in the shade of the mushrooms and saw a huge, huge castle in the far distance, wondering who lives in that castle so far away and so big. And it was so scary and so eerie, she was so frightened. She didn't know what to think. Oh well, who knows who lives in that castle, she said to herself. And then she looked up even further, and what did she see on top of a big mushroom as big as a house? A beautiful blue worm, smoking something that came out with blue smoke, blowing smoke rings around her, making her cough. She said, Hello up there. And the worm said, Yes, could I help you, young lady? I am looking for a white rabbit that may have ran along this path recently. Have you seen a white rabbit? The worm looked down at her and said, Well, maybe not. What do you mean, maybe not? Did you see a white rabbit or didn't you? He had a beautiful blue coat on, and he had a large watch yelling, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. Did you see a rabbit run by that said, I'm late, having a big watch and a blue coat? And the worm said, Well, maybe I did. I do remember seeing a white rabbit run by in a little while ago. Could you tell me where he went by any chance? And the worm looked down at her very smugly, blowing a blue smoke ring around Alice's head and sort of smirking, said, Well, I don't know where he went. I didn't ask when he ran by. He just said, I'm late, and I thought it was none of my business. Well, I've been following him for some time and I've lost him. Can't you help me? And the worm looked down with a big smirky smile and said, Well, I'm sorry. I can't. Alice started to cry her big tears. I am so sad, I'm scared, and I'm lost. And he looked back down again and gave me a little weird smile. And out of the corner of my eye, what did I see? I jumped back in fear. This giant Cheshire cat appeared. He kept appearing and disappearing and putting that big giant smile on his face with all those teeth and those green eyes. He frightened me to death. He was pretty scary, and that smile was even scarier, and all those teeth. Can you not agree that is a really scary smile? And those eyes are really, really big. And his little nose twitched a little bit, and that was pretty frightening too. Oh my gosh, Alice became more and more frightened. She didn't know what to do. Oh my gosh, this Cheshire cat kept peering, disappearing, and appearing, and sometimes you'd only see his smile, sometimes you'd see his eyes and smile, sometimes you wouldn't hardly see anything. And when his whole body appeared, it was even more frightening because he was so big. Alice seemed so small compared to everything that was here. Oh my gosh. She asked the Cheshire cat, Do you know where the rabbit went? He didn't know either. So Alice got back on the path. Oh my gosh, and as she walked down the path further, she found this beautiful place that almost looked like an outside dining room. It was beautifully decorated with a beautiful Persian rug and 3 big beautiful tables full of food and chairs. Beautiful lace tablecloth covered it, beautiful china. Everything looked so beautiful, and an eerie staircase going up to a door. She was a little frightened of that door and that staircase. She didn't feel brave enough to go up there after everybody's been so mean to her. And she got a little more uneasy when she saw that there was nobody around all that food. Why was all that food sitting on that table with nobody there? She didn't know. And then she noticed how beautifully all the beautiful mushrooms were, how colorful they were all around this area. Everything looked sort of beautiful but frightening at the same time. She didn't know where she was, and this was making her even more scared. And everything was so out of proportion, another thing that frightened her. She had no idea what was going on, where she was, and how she was ever going to get home. Everything was more frightened. She got back on the path and said, maybe I should just keep moving. Nobody invited me to sit down to eat, and I don't think it would be good manners to set my own self down. So she got back on the path and started walking some more. She came around the corner and found some more beautiful mushrooms clustered together. She was starting to get a little hungry, but you know, mushrooms can be poisonous. So she thought twice about eating any of those mushrooms. And then she also thought, well, everything around here seems to talk. Maybe these mushrooms talk also. And she was even more afraid. But then she started thinking maybe the mushrooms could give her the answer, since they're right next to the path. Hello, she said to all the mushrooms. By any chance, does anyone there talk? Hello, does anyone talk by any chance? And she didn't hear any answer, so she said it again. Hello, is there anybody there that might have seen A white rabbit run by recently with a blue coat on and a big watch yelling, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. And still nobody answered. Oh, she thought she was going to be left here forever, lost in this wonderful, weird place. Well, just about then she heard a sound. Hello, hello, she says again. Is there anybody there? Did anybody see a white rabbit run by recently? And a little voice came out and said, Yes, I saw a little white rabbit run by recently with a blue coat and a big watch saying, I'm late, I'm late. Is that who you're talking about? Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Do you know where the rabbit went? Oh, yes, I do. He got on that path. Keep following it.